Well, hi again, everyone. Welcome into UnAnchored Boston with Bob Lobel. I'm Mike Lynch. And as always, we are brought to you by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're New Hampshire, of course. And by the great George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington, Mass. Speaking of great, we've got one of the greatest of all time. Number 19 is with us, Freddie Lynn. Bob Lobel, you handle the intros. Do your thing.
Freddie, it's great to see you. There's a lot of people that remember you, and there are a lot of people that don't.
You're too young.
Mike and I have the same problem, so we're all used to it. We're getting used to it as best as we can. But I was going back over Game 6 of '75, and it was just such an amazing, remarkable series of events that took place, things that you didn't remember when you read about them, you all of a sudden remembered, and that they were all connected to that game. For instance, there were home runs hit in that game. Cesar Geronimo, Bernie Carbo, Carlton Fisk, and one other home run in that game that people say, He did what?
That's
Wait,
right.
he hit it too early.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what, Bob? Leading up to Game 6, remember we had 3 straight days of rain.
Yeah.
And because my dad had come back for the series, and he had to go back to work, and then was supposed to be at a weekend, and then you got 3 days he had to leave, and we were just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. It rained so hard. I think we had a batting cage out in center field, but I don't remember. But we're doing nothing, basically. And I don't know where the Reds went to take BP, some college somewhere probably. But what it allowed me to do was get some rest. This was my first full season of Major League Baseball, and I was running on empty. There's no question about it. So the 3 days of rest really helped me and come up in the first inning with 2 guys on, and I hit a ball off Gary Nolan about 30 rows over the bullpen, and I hadn't hit a ball that far since May. You know what it did is it energized the stadium. We're down 3-2. We have to win. So immediately we threw up 3 runs, and the fans are in it. So that got the stadium rocking.
Yeah, but there were other things. That's true. You did hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, and it got everybody rocking in a big way. But there were so many other things. For instance, I didn't remember that you hit the fly ball to left field.
Yeah.
And Denny Doyle was on third. That would have been the winning run. He tagged up. Everybody, I think it was Zimmer. Or was it? Everybody said he said go, 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 and no, it was no, 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 or whatever. You know the story.
I do. I was kind of involved with a number of things that happened there.
Yes, you were involved in a lot of them.
I'm going to go back when Bernie hit his home run, his pinch hit home run. I was on second base.
You were on base. I was
on second. So I had a really good view of what was happening. And their closer, Eastwick, was in the game and got 2 strikes on Bernie, threw a cutter inside, and Bernie just swung late and hit it like 2 feet. It was like, oh, my God, that's the ugliest swing I've ever seen. And I said, oh, God, don't throw that pitch there again. Well, Bernie liked the ball out over the plate, and Eastwick threw it right out over the plate, and Bernie hit it right on the button. And I spun around as there was 2 outs, and I'm looking, this ball's out of here. And so the place obviously went bonkers again, and it tied the game, 6-6. So I come up in the bottom of the 9th. We got bases loaded. And McElhaney's their pitcher. I've only faced him, I think, once over in Cincinnati. And I think he struck me out on a breaking ball. And the story is that Johnny Bench called for a breaking ball, but he threw a fastball. And I hit it to left, and the wind was kind of blowing in from left. And I thought it might be a foul ball. And George Foster was playing left, and we were going to run on George. The guy could hit, but, left field wasn't necessarily his thing. So we were going to run on him if we could. And the ball, unfortunately, was right on the line. So it was like an airplane landing on a runway. He had a perfect line of sight using the foul line to home plate. As it was, Denny, probably not our fastest guy. Probably not. So he takes off, and that go, no. The throw was offline a little bit, and Bench went out and got the throw and came back and just got Denny. I mean, it was a bang play. If it's Rooster out there, or if it's anybody out there, they score. But then there's 2 outs, and then, geez, it was like so deflating. You could just feel the air come out of the stadium. So now we go into the 12th inning, and Pudge and I are on deck watching Pat Darcy warm up. Now, Darcy had thrown 2 innings and got 6 ground ball outs. And Pudge just says to me, Freddie, I'm going to hit one off the wall. You drive me in. I said, boy, that sounds like a great idea to me. So Pudge is a low ball hitter. I don't know if they knew that. Well, Darcy threw a sinker down and in, and Pudge just cut it off. And I'm on deck, right? So I have a perfect view of what's happening here. And the ball got out so quickly that it didn't have a chance to hook foul. And so as soon as he hit it, I could see it was going to stay fair. I'm jumping up and down while Pudge is doing, this thing. And it was just obviously electric. And then, gosh, probably later on where we're in a clubhouse, say, hey, Pudge, what happened to the part about you hitting it off the wall, me driving you in?
No, but Fred, you were involved in almost every major play. You're on deck when Fisk hit his home run. You hit the fly ball to left field for Doral. You hit a home run in the first inning. You were on second base when Carbo hit his. Almost every big play, except for the Evans throw, you were involved in that game. But
well, the other thing is that probably the thing that I'm best known for, Ken Griffey Sr. hit a ball earlier in the game to left center. And I was tracking it down, and I just ran out of room, and I ran into the Green Monster. And back then, the Monster had teeth because that was concrete. Yeah. And I went down, and I think he hit the triple. But I lost all feeling from my waist down. Everybody thought I was knocked out because I wasn't moving. But I was totally conscious, but I couldn't feel my lower half of my body. So I was pretty scared, to be honest with you. And it took about 2 or 3 minutes, seemed like hours. But I finally got some sensation from the waist down. It's like when you hit your funny bone on your elbow, you get that tingly thing. Well, so I tried to get that tingly sensation in my legs. And that's when they helped me up. And I was just kind of shaking around. I said, I think I'm okay. I'm staying in. That play was significant because the next year, they started putting padding on the walls because of that play. Everybody in the United States saw that play. I mean, that was probably the most televised sporting event.
You crumbled. You just crumbled down on the ground.
Yeah, and so you could hear a pin drop in the stadium, and finally, the people realized, well, maybe we should put some padding on to protect these guys, because you get crazy people like me out there that don't care. And, I could have been, I didn't hit my head, like I said, I hit my back. I was always smart enough to turn and rotate my body. So that I took it with my shoulder and my hip and never hit my head. But like I said, the next year, they started putting padding on the walls.
That was significant. Well, Rookie of the Year and, MVP, only time it's ever happened. And you're the guy. So that was 75 was something else, and it culminated in an amazing way. Okay, Lynch, I'll shut up for a while.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mike Lynch. Sometimes I co-host a show with Bob every now and then.
Hi, Mike.
You must have thought, now this is your rookie year. All this has happened to you heading into Game 7. You must say, this is something else. Why? I could get used to this every single year, right?
Yeah, I had a wonderful amateur career. I went to the University of Southern California. I was very fortunate to play for a guy named Rod Dato. And my 3 years at USC, we went to the College World Series each year, and we won every year. So I was used to that. Actually, Jim Rice and I got called up in the end of 1973 for the AAA World Series, and we won that. So I was used to getting to the championship game. The only difference this time is that we lost. And I had never in my amateur career gotten to a championship game and lost before. So that was totally different. I really didn't know how to react. I remember sitting in my locker just like, well, this sucks. I don't want this feeling again. And I never experienced it before. So when we got to game 7, I'm thinking, boy, this is perfect. This is where we're supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. And it just didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to happen. We lost 4-3 in a bloop single of all things. Things happened very quickly that first year and culminated in probably one of the best World Series ever. And I'm sure I wasn't the only guy in that locker room who thought, oh, okay, we have a pretty young team here. We're going to be back.
Well, there are 3 guys in that team that maybe should be in the Hall of Fame. Yourself, Evans, and Tion. I mean,
well, thank you for that. We had a great mix of players. Our pitching staff was pretty veteran. And we had Carl Yastrzemski and Rico from '67 as veteran players, but the core of the team was young. Our starting outfield was 23 years old, and Brewster's 23. Pudge is only like 27. Cecil Cooper's like 25. This is a young team. And that kind of thing, if you look back in the history of baseball, that just doesn't happen, especially in those times when that many young guys are on a team and they're that successful. It was, number one, it was a lot of fun. It was just a fun time. I thoroughly enjoyed it, being with those guys. And then, like I said, that core of the team, we all thought we were going to be there again.
You forgot one thing when you were talking about USC in '73. You almost lost your first round game that year to us, to Harvard. It was 1-1 in the 8th.
Oh, did I forget that?
You did leave that out. Wouldn't that have been something if you guys, a 2-time defending champ, you lose to Harvard in the first round?
Please.
Well, you know what? We didn't know much about Harvard baseball, to be honest with you. We knew they had 2 good pitchers. And in a tournament scenario, 2 guys can carry you a long way. Especially in those days when it's wooden bats, remember? That was a Roosevelt Field in Omaha was a big stadium. It was big and it played big. So you could win 1-0 games, 2-1 games. That was the vogue, right? So, yeah, we knew that they could pitch. We really did. We didn't take them lightly, for sure. Our coach would allow that. And just, I remember him saying, just because these guys are Ivy League, don't mistake them. Yeah, just don't mistake them for pushovers, because they're not. So they got our full attention and they battled. They really did. Yeah. But we were really good at winning close games. That was probably our forte. It probably is one of the things that made us better than everybody else, to be honest, is we won close games. If it was a dogfight to the end, we won them.
I want to go back to the Red Sox, but just finish up on that World Series, because you had a comeback against a pretty good team and a pretty damn good player who most people think of as an outfielder all the time. Dave Winfield. Was that the championship game or the next to last game?
Yeah, that was semifinals. They had a loss already. This is we're talking about the College World Series in 1973, I believe. Yeah. And Dave Winfield is pitching for Minnesota. And he was mowing us down, to be honest with you. He's 6'6". You can imagine how hard he threw. But fastball was one thing, and I think it's some sort of breaking ball, probably slide. But he had an off-speed pitch, and that was what was giving us fits. Going into the 9th inning, he had struck out 15. We got a couple hits, and they were ahead 7-0. And we got 2 or 3 hits in a row. I came up and just hit a screamer down the first base line, and got a couple guys in, and they took Dave out of the game and put him to left field. And so the next guy comes in, I don't know who it was, but he couldn't get anybody out. Bottom line is we scored 8 runs in the bottom of the 9th with 1 out. come back and win that game. And here's a cool sidebar to this. My coach, Vadeta, had a great relationship with the Dodgers. In fact, everybody thought I was going to be a Dodger. And that didn't quite happen, but he knew Tom and the sort of best friends. He knew the O'Malleys and the Campanis people. So they were great friends. So we used to play them at an exhibition game for their spring training, have 55,000 people, SC versus the Dodgers. So after that game, or during that game, the Dodgers were playing that night. And so on their scoreboard, they put up the score of the SC Minnesota game, and they're going inning by inning, right? Don't. And at the bottom of the ninth, if there's a little pause, and they throw up an 8.
Wow.
And 50,000 people, I'm told, just stood up and just erupted. So it was a pretty cool moment for those people, too.
I want to take you back to June 18th, 1975. I can remember exactly where I was watching the game. You had 10 RBIs. You had 15 total bases. And I think the triple you hit the railing, right? It was like maybe 2 inches from being another home run, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Was it baseball?
If you can see it on YouTube somewhere, the triple that I hit was almost on the ground. I mean, it was a low sinker away, and I just golfed it. I hit a rocket. It would have been a single in Fenway. And they had a short fence, probably 7 feet, something like that, left. And they had an iron bar on the top, and it just caught underneath that bar. It ricocheted back, and that's why I got a triple. Came roaring back to the infield. But yeah, another foot, and that's another home run. So that was the last time I hit 3 home runs in a game was Little League. That was nuts.
Another big home run in the All-Star game. No one's ever hit a grand slam before. Well, it's happened one time since, but that was grand slam in the first All-Star game we were in '83 was pretty spectacular.
You know why, Bob? That was my 9th All-Star game. There's a couple things going on there. I was born in Chicago. I wasn't raised there, but I was raised in Southern California. But all my relatives were there. So they all wanted to go to the game. It cost me like $2,500. I didn't get free tickets back then. It was costing me dough. So anyway, that was my 9th All-Star game, and that National League was killing us. I think they'd won like 11 out of 12, something like that. And I hadn't won one yet. So there was a lot riding on this.
That's right. Right. It was Adley Hammaker was the pitcher, right?
That's right. There were 2 separate leagues, right? National League had their own baseballs, their own umpires, their own strike zone.
Right, that's right.
Own American League National League president. In fact, Lee McPhail used to call us. He was our American League president. He'd call the guys, say, "We got to win this game." Okay. So anyway, set the stage. I think we're up 3-1, and they walked Robin Yount to load the bases to get to me. Well, that got my attention. I understand the strategy because Adley Hammaker had probably one of the best first half a pitcher ever had in the history of the game. I mean, he was unhittable, literally. And I got to count to 2-2. I'd swung and missed at 2 breaking balls, and he threw me that breaking ball again. I kind of knew it was coming, and I didn't miss this one. And that put us up like 7-1, something like that. And we won that game 13-3. And the significance for American Leaguers is that since 1983, the American League has dominated the National. So it was a historic home run for the American League. Yeah, I didn't know about anything about the first Grand Slam. Didn't know about that. But for me, it was just redemption.
Man, you were involved in so many key. That's what I said. Wherever you went, things happened. Like you were like a fulcrum for greatness. That sometimes if Fred Lynn was there, something good was going to happen.
I had fun playing the game, guys. I really did, and hopefully that translated to my teammates, because it's a long season and I try to play with a smile, but I wanted to win. I would do anything to help my team win a game, probably to my detriment, running into walls and things like that. Definitely lost some playing time, no question. But boy, I just had a ball playing that game, and I still miss it. I really do. I had partial knee replacement of both knees in February. I'm not quite ready to take batting practice yet, but I'm close.
Well, I know one team that could use you right now.
But I want to go back to the All-Star thing, or even what pregame when you were playing. Remy was quite fond of telling us that when the first time they played the Yankees, he and Mickey Rivers were teammates with the Angels.
That's right.
And so during batting practice, Remy went over and, first time we'd seen Mickey Rivers in quite some time, shaking hands. And when he got back on the other side of the cage, Fisk brought him over like this.
Yeah.
He says, "What are you doing?" So I said, "Well, Angels, Mickey Rivers and I." He goes, "We don't do that around here." He goes, "Knock it off."
Yeah. Well, every team needs a Carlton Fisk, and if he saw something that he didn't like, he wasn't afraid to let you know about it. Like the policeman on the team, we definitely policed ourselves, and Pudge helped do that. But that's very true. When I got to the Sox called up in '74, we didn't play the Yankees then. And I remember playing them in '75, and I wasn't really getting that vibe, to be honest, because they were playing in Shea.
Right.
Remember, Yankee Stadium was being refurbished, so they played their game in Shea. Well, guess what? They don't like the Yankees in Shea. So I didn't feel, and I know there was some electricity, but I didn't really feel it till the next year, '76, and they got their home park. I think that made them better, to be honest with you. I just don't think they like playing. Who would want to play their home games in another stadium? I wouldn't.
No, I know it. I mean,
it's like playing Red Sox games at BC.
But Fenway Park was a big help to you. There aren't many people that played center field in Fenway Park the way you played it. And I think there was a lot made that you were made for that ballpark. That ballpark was made for you.
I definitely adjusted my game to suit Fenway. There's no question about that. And defensively, I remember going out there when I got called up, and I'm throwing balls against everything, even in left center, to see how the ball would come off. And there's so many things out there besides that's a scoreboard. The wall was made out of tin back then. And the ball sometimes would go straight down if it landed in between a stud. If it hit a stud, it would ricochet off. It could hit the concrete. It hit a ladder, speakers, doorways, Gothic spikes in the deepest part of right center. I mean, well, it had everything, right? But I enjoyed that. That was a challenge. And when I was at SC, we had a 30-foot fence, but it was in right field. It was wooden down below and chain link at the top. So I kind of got used to a little bit. But I worked at it. During batter practice, I made sure I knew exactly what was going to happen when balls hit those things. And now on the offensive side, when I got to Fenway, I pulled everything. I never hit a ball in the left field in my life. I'm not a big guy, so if you want to hit home runs or drive the ball, you hit the ball out in front of the plate. So I'd hit the ball right field all the time. And when I get to Fenway, I'm thinking, that's mighty inviting over there. I got to figure this out. So during batting practice, instinctively, I just kind of pulled my hands in, and the knob of the bat would come through the zone, and the barrel of the bat would lag through the hitting area, and the ball would go to left field. So I get pretty proficient at doing that, and especially with the way I stood out in the box, I was close to the plate. And the reason you do that is so that you can hook an outside pitch as a pull hitter, right? So now I never deviated from that, and I could still take a pitch to strike on the inside corner and hit it off the wall. And not many guys knew how to do that. And I wish more guys in today's game would do it, but they don't. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is I did tailor my game for that ballpark. There's no question that I did, and I certainly missed it when I went away.
Are you sorry that all happened, Fred?
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm a pretty loyal guy, and I thought I'd be a Red Sox for life. I really did. I mean,
yeah. So did Fisk, and so did
Brewster. Yeah, that whole thing was unfortunate, and it didn't make any sense to us either. You know, when you did destroy the defensive core of the team, the catcher, the shortstop, and the center fielder. I mean, this is the core of your defense, right? And your number 2, 3, 5 hitters in the lineup. Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me either. So I know the Red Sox fans were scratching their heads. Well, so were we.
Well, they're still scratching. Can you talk about it now? Would you even consider answering the question, who do you think made that decision?
Well, this is a tough story. Okay. Everybody thought this thing was about money, right? And so did I. You know, when I got traded away, I was like everybody else. Well, you know, they thought I wanted to go to California. Or, they thought I wanted too much money. Okay. 1990. All right. I'm in San Diego, and Peter Gammons was out there, and he was doing kind of a little story on me. And we're talking before the game in Atlanta. He says, "Freddie, do you want to know why, you know, the Red Sox, you know, traded you away?" I'm thinking, yeah, that'd be kind of nice. You know, I thought it was about money. He goes, "No, not really." I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting now. He's got my full attention. He says to me that, you know, they sent the contracts out late now. Remember that thing? Well, that was probably by design. It was no clerical error. So, you know, during 1976, Carlton Fisk, Rick Brolson, and me, we went into the season unsigned. You know, we all knew that free agency was going to happen. So we were kind of banking on that, and we kind of had our necks hanging out there playing a season unsigned, and our agent was Jerry Capstein. Well, anyway, those two guys signed in like June or something. I didn't sign until like August. Well, Mr. Yaki passed away. I can't remember what month he did, but it was sometime during the season. And so Peter says to me, he says, "Well, Mrs. Yaki blamed us for his death." And I said, "What?"
I've heard this story.
That's just crazy. But then I'm thinking about, well, okay, well, that makes more sense to me than money. You know, here's a lady, if that's true, then okay, 1980 comes along, she gets rid of all us, and we're not invited back. So that makes actually more sense than anything else. It's a weird story. But then in 1999, the All-Star game was in Boston. I'm sure you remember that. And Haywood Sullivan comes up to me at one of the major league parties, and he says, "Freddie, I know you know the story." Okay. And he said, "I tried to get you back every year, and Gene Yaki wouldn't have any of it." So, and I said, "Wow, that's heavy."
Wow.
But it kind of made sense to me, more so than the money thing, because I never said that. I publicly said I want to stay. So it's a weird story, and I've only told it a couple of times. But yeah, that's what was told to me by Peter Gammons and confirmed to me by Haywood Sullivan.
And so many people blamed Haywood.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, he kind of fell on the sword there. But so yeah, I obviously, you know, he was a loyal soldier, if you will, and so that it was too bad. You know,
It was too bad for.
Because let's look at it like this. So let's assume that we all sign, and so now we still have this core of guys, and now you get Roger Clemens and you get Wade Boggs, and you get some of this pitching, this great pitching that they had, and you still have us. Oh man, nice lineup, huh?
Right. Well, I appreciate you at least telling you from your perspective.
Yeah, it's just it's just kind of water over the dam kind of thing. And you know, one thing that I'd like to say something about the new ownership, because geez, I wasn't even asked back ever. You know, as long as the Yankees own the club. So when the new ownership took over in 2002, they literally called me up right after they bought the club, and they wanted me to be in the Red Sox Hall of Fame. And this is the first time I heard from organizations since 1980. So
Amazing.
that was quite a shocker, but they righted some wrongs, and it was a really cool thing that they did, and I appreciate it very much.
That's great. Now you come back, your regular rotation in the Legends.
Yeah, I'm actually coming back for the Dodgers series. And now you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that the Los Angeles Dodgers have ever been there. I don't think they've been there since they were in New York, right?
Oh, I think you're right. I think this is going to be an amazing event.
I can't wait because you know who's coming back? Mookie Betts.
I know.
I know.
And he's leading off, so that's going to be interesting. I can't wait for that.
That's another story, okay?
Yeah.
That's the next generation after the winning generation, and it's the next rotation in organizational philosophy, okay?
Yeah. I just I like Mookie a lot, and Bugger's got 31 homers, and you know what? When he comes up to the plate. He's one of the best guys that can cut off a fastball. I don't care how hard you throw it.
You don't have to remind us, Fred. Why can't we get players like that?
Well, he hits the ball so low that he probably only have 15 homers in Fenway because.
Yeah, of course. Right. Okay. Of course, I feel better now.
Oh, good.
Hey, when you took a uniform off at the end of the 79, 80 season, did you know it was for the last time as a member of the Boston Red Sox?
You know what? Here's how that worked. In 1980, and right before September, the club has started to play pretty well, and we're kind of still, not out of it. And I'm starting to swing back pretty good. And we're playing Oakland at our joint, and McCaddy's pitching for Oakland. And back in 1980, that staff kind of threw a suspicious sinker, if you will.
Huh.
The whole staff was kind of known for it. And that suspicious sinker came up, and I fouled one off my toe, my big toe. And, I hopped around, but I've done that before. And, it stings, and you get back in the box, right? So he hangs me a slider next pitch, and I hit it off the wall, and I took a step out of the box and went, whoa, what's that? So I kind of hobbled in a second, and I knew instinctively, I'd never broken a bone before. I knew instinctively that it was broken. And Charlie Moss comes out of the dugout, and I just stopped him, and I just kind of went like that. I said, I know it's broken. But now I'm already thinking, this is it. And this could be my last time on base as a Red Sox. And Rice, it's a racket up the middle. I had to jump out of the way, and I scored. That was it. That was my last appearance in Fenway Park as a Red Sox player. Broken bone in my big toe, and I was out for the rest of the year. It still doesn't bend. And I hobbled, scored the run, and hobbled into the dugout, and that was it.
Wow. Hey, let me get a commercial in here, but I want to ask you about another famous game at Fenway Park.
Let me do my commercial, Michael, first.
What's that?
Let me do my commercial first.
Oh, you want to do yours first?
Yeah, and then you can ask Fred the big question.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Bob. That's how we roll here, Fred. We just
okay. That's fine. No bickering, guys. Try to play nice.
We don't roll. We waddle.
Go ahead, Bob. You frozen? I think he's frozen. All right,
no. Okay, shut up, Bob.
All right, there you go. You're frozen.
Campers, this is a message to you. Campers, Cold Springs RV summer sell-off event is heating up for August. It's first come, first serve for the must-move deals. Cold Springs RV is making room for the 2024 models. They must move out the current inventory of, obviously, the 2023 units. So go see the travel trailers, the motorhomes, the pop-ups. The deals will not last. So get to the summer sell-off event at Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire. Where? West of Manchester, north of Haverhill. Cold Springs RV, online at coldspringsrv.com. And now the question for Fred Lynn from Mike Lynch.
All right, Fred, here you go. So remember John Madden wouldn't fly, so he had a bus called the Madden Cruiser. Remember that?
That's right.
So we're gonna build a Cold Springs RV is going to build a similar vehicle for Lobel. We're going to call it the Lobie Cruiser. So we asked each one of our guests, we would deliver the Lobie Cruiser to Southern California, and you have to drive cross country. But you can pick one person, alive or dead, past or present. It could be in sports, not in sports, that you would want to drive 3,000 miles with cross country in the Lobie Cruiser. Who would it be?
I can't say Margot Robbie because I already took her.
Wow, that's a really interesting question. So obviously it would have to be someone that has the same interests as me. And my two big interests obviously are sports and fishing. And fishing is going to be up there pretty close.
I know we're
So
wrong.
I'm going to say Ted Williams.
That's
Because
Excellent.
Teddy ball game, obviously could hit a little bit. We're both lefties. And we both like to fish. So, there would be some spirited conversation there. It wouldn't be lagging at all, because if you ever spoke to Ted and he gave you his opinion and you had a dissenting opinion, ooh, for some meaningful conversation after that.
Ted, what kind of fishing do you do?
I'm a bass guy, I'm a largemouth bass. Ted was more elitist, he was a fly fisherman, ties his own flies. And so I talked to Ted about fishing once. And he said, well, Freddie, I caught my 1,000th bonefish, and I'm going to Maine or someplace and caught my 1,000th salmon. I said, whoa. Ted, you count the fish that you catch? He goes, yeah. I got a chart. And I go, oh. That's how he hit, right? He flat out every portion of the strike zone. Well, I could hit 400 here and 350 here and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going, oh, Ted, I just fish for fun. I like to enjoy the moment. I don't care about how many I catch. And yeah, I'd like to catch some, but I'm not going to count them.
The science of hitting, right?
That's exactly right. The science of hitting. Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
So he was
all right,
as
so let me
intense
ask
a
you this
fisherman as he was a hitter. I'm sorry, Lynchy.
No, go ahead. We could stay with the
No,
fish because you're so talented, Bob. He went to see Barbie last week. He did a review for us, and now he's got some fishing experience as well. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I was just talking about Ted took fishing as seriously as he took hitting.
Oh, there's no question about it. Remember the science of hitting came out, and I remember my first rookie year, Ted asked me, what's your theory of hitting? And I'm thinking, uh-oh. And I said, well, Ted, it's pretty simple. I see it and I hit it. And boy, he didn't like that answer very much. Yeah. He said, well, what about the ball that's 2 inches outside? Well, I said, first of all, I can hit that pitch. If I want to, I can hit it. And he says, well, why would you swing at it? I said, I'm not you. If I take it, it's a strike. They call that a strike on me. I'm a rookie.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we agreed to disagree on that one.
Yeah. Let me ask this one. 1978, you're in center field.
Yep.
Bucky Dent comes up to the plate.
Yep.
What did you see, and how did it look to you when it left the bat?
Yeah, a slider, and Bucky hit it okay, but it's a day of game, so the ball travels a little bit better. So I'm backing up the play because it goes off the wall, and it was a fence scraper. Literally, there's the wall, and it shoot on the back side of it, and obviously that put him up. But I tell people that's not really what beat us. Everybody remembers that, but see, I'm a defender. And I remember the defensive plays that people make more than that. Lou Piniella made 2 plays in right field that saved 3 runs, literally. If you remember that game, Yaz hit a homer off of Guidry early, put us up 2-0.
Yeah.
And I came up with off Guidry probably about the 4th inning, something like that. There was 2 guys on 2 outs. Now, I normally hit Guidry the other way, left center, and I try to guide it that way because of his slider. And he got a ball, and I hooked it in the corner. And as soon as I hit it, I said, that's in there. And for some reason, Lou was shading me to pull, and he runs and he snow cones it. He snow cones this ball, catches it. That saved 2 runs right there. Not only does it save 2 runs, it knocks Guidry out of the game.
Yeah.
Because 2 lefties have damaged him for 4 runs, and they probably get him out of there. Nowhere into their middle relief. It's over. Believe me, it's over. We get into that middle relief. So that's that play. And then later on in the 8th inning, Rooster's on, and Remy hits a line drive to right. Well, Lou loses the sun, and he kind of puts his hands up like a decoy, and Rooster's frozen between first and second because he doesn't know if Lou's going to catch this line drive. Well, it bounces in front of him, goes off his chest, and stays right in front of him, of all things. And Rooster can't go to third. He had to stay to second base. And so Rice hits a long fly ball. Now, if Rooster's on third, that's a tying run. Right. So, in effect, Lou saved 3 runs. And many years later, I'm working at ESPN during broadcast, being an analyst, and Lou's the manager in Seattle. And we're doing a Seattle game. So I said, "Hey, Lou, come on over here." And he's going, "Oh, what's this about?" So I said to him, "Hey, Lou, that playoff game is 78. You're playing out of position for me. You're playing more to pro. Was there a really good-looking girl down the right field line? What made you go over there?" He said, and this is what he said to me. He said, "Freddie, Guidry threw a lot of innings that year, and I didn't think he had his best stuff that day. So I moved over about 10 feet or so just in case you hooked one." And I said, "Well, I tip my cap because that's really good thinking. That's what good defenders do." That's the difference between today's players and yesteryear. We did that on our own. And if Reggie's out right, that doesn't happen. Okay. And that was good management to put Lou in right field because it was a sun field. Remember that back late in the season? It's always a tough sun field anyway. But it was a great response. It was just a great response. So I said, "Lou, man, that's really good." So I just said, "Man, way to go. That's tip my cap."
Why are not players today like that?
Because everything is done for them. It's really not this generation's fault. They're given all these things, all these numbers. You see them looking at wristbands and stuff. That drives me absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. Right.
That's right. There's no creative thinking on their own. If it's not handed to them in black and white, they're not going to see that. Yeah, as a center fielder, I could really see if my pitcher's on that day. And all these numbers that they're tossing out to the guys for positioning the outfield and infield, all that kind of stuff. I mean, whatever those numbers are, I can skew them another way. Okay, what's the weather like? Who's pitching? Is it the same guy? Were you playing against us? Is this the whole league? The demographic for his ability to hit the ball a certain place? I mean, is it 35 degrees? Is it 80 degrees? Is it windy? There's a million things that go on in the game, especially in the outfield and the center in particular, that I need to know. And it was my job to let Jimmy and Dewey know if I'm moving somewhere, I'm moving my flank outfielders with me so we don't create a gap in the defense, kind of like a zone defense in football. One guy moves, the other guy has to come with him. And then my responsibility was to see these things and relate it to those guys. In today's game, that's not happening.
But let me. Bob and I, we're at that park every single night, and I cannot tell you the last time I saw a team take infield practice or outfield practice. I mean, the infielders get fungos hit to them between pitches. Outfielders never have balls hit to them. They never have to throw to third base, second base from the corner and right, or out by the triangle. Why is that?
They must do it and during batting practice. They must have dedicated time to do it somewhere. It's just not in front of the fans anymore.
Yeah. But we're there early. We're there like by 3:00, and the guys are just walking out. Yeah, and I can't see it. And if somebody does it, it's like, oh, something must really be wrong here. And but yeah, we just don't. Everybody always did, especially visiting teams that came in, were always hitting fungos off the wall because no two bounces are the same out there.
Right. Yeah. Well. I don't have an answer for that because I'm not there early. These guys get to the park so early these days to do whatever they do. I would assume that at some point, outfielders, throw the bases, whether it's on their own or there's actually an infield outfield practice. Don't know.
Right.
So you just, you have to make these throws. Number one, this is why one of the reasons you take infield, outfield right before the game, especially like on the West Coast where the marine layer moves in. Just about any team on the coast around 7:30, the air gets heavier, and sometimes the grass in the infield gets a little dew on it. Well, I need to know that if I'm throwing the ball over the mound, if it hits that dewy grass, it's going to skip. It's going to scoop, right? I need to know that beforehand. Because if it's dry, sometimes it'll hit and just go straight up, and I might have to put a little bit more something on it. And conversely, say like Dewey and Wright throwing to third, he wants to see how the ball's going to skip on the dirt. If they water down the infield, these are the little things that you need to know. And in today's game, I see more throws that are airmailed, meaning they don't care about the cutoff guy. They're just trying to, throw somebody out that way. It's all great if you throw them out, but if you don't, the other guy's advancing. The hitter's advancing to second base if it's a base hit. So I don't know how they stay sharp, to be honest with you. Our guys took 1 million ground balls just to see what the lay of the land was with the dirt. Every infield is different in this league. They are not the same. Every outfield is different. All the grasses are different.
Right.
Especially in our generation because, geez, I'm not going to say half the fields, but a lot of them were football stadiums where they throw a baseball field.
Right.
You got a football field running across center field. So these are things that you just needed to know.
Yeah.
And today's fields they're beautiful. Let me just make no mistake about it. They're beautiful. There's no bad hops in the outfield. They're level. There's no sprinkler heads. I mean, there's no water laying out there like seventh game of the World Series. So it's a gorgeous place to play for these guys. And if they miss the ball, it's the lack of concentration, to be honest, because they're beautiful outfields.
You played here, you played in Anaheim, you played in Baltimore, and played with the Tigers, and I think.
San Diego, yeah.
Was this the toughest place to play in terms of media and fans, compared to the other places?
No, it's the most interesting place to play. The media could be hard on you at times because there was so much of it. I mean, every small town in New England had a paper, and so they sent their guy to the game, especially against the Yankees. And there were like 100 sports writers for a game in May. So I didn't mind that. I was forewarned when I went to Boston about that. That didn't bother me. I love the interaction with the fans because they brought intensity to the ballpark, and I fed off that, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that they're right on top of you. And if you're playing like a bum, well, they're going to let you know it. Okay, well, I picked my game up. But when you stepped on that field, you better have your A game. You better have your head on straight because, the fans are going to let you know, and the media as well. Then that's okay. We're getting paid to do a job. We'll go out there and do it.
The fans are different, of course, than the players that play in front of them in many ways. And when you left here, and the Red Sox finally won it in 2004, I don't know that it affected you as much as it affected the Red Sox fans. I'm sure you might have been happy for those fans, but you might have known some guys that played in New York or wherever, in St. Louis that the Red Sox beat.
No. Meant a lot to me.
Okay. Where were you?
I was right there watching like everybody else. In fact, ESPN had a truck here with a satellite, and there were like 5 or 6 ex-Red Sox players, and they had a split screen getting reactions from all of us. And it was a really cool moment.
I'm sorry we didn't see it, but we were out in St. Louis covering the damn thing.
Yeah, that's right. So it was really a great moment. I was more happy for the fan base because we obviously can't come close in my time there so many times, and we were so good and didn't win. And they were close in '86, and they had some good teams along the way. But so I was just happy for the fan base, to be honest with you. All those people that listened to the games on little transistor radios at the beach and during the summertime, and could watch a game on Channel 38, and all those people, that's what made me smile for all those people.
That's good to hear.
Let me ask you this. Here's a crazy thing that I never knew. But one night, Phil Castagnetti, and you were Phil Castagnetti, and we met at Strega down in Boston waterfront. And the Bruins had just lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup. And you said to me, "Hey, how about my Blackhawks, huh?" And I said, "Your Blackhawks?" I said, "You're a Southern Cal guy." He said, "No, I was born in Chicago, and the Blackhawks are my team." Tell me about that. Yeah,
well, as a Chicago guy, I mean, I'm a North Side guy, so I'm a Cub guy, not the White Sox. And when I was a kid, when I was 9 years old, I spent the summer in Chicago and visiting all my relatives in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and so I really got the flavor of the city and everybody around it. And it was a big hockey town. It's a Cub town, but it's a hockey town. And the Bears, So, Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita, those guys. And I have a hockey puck that Mikita hit in the stands, and my uncle gave it to me. And I never played hockey in my life, right? And I said, "Damn, this thing's hard. No one of these guys don't have any teeth." So I was, I liked as a kid, I liked the unis of the Hawks, and I used to watch those guys play, and I didn't, to be honest, I didn't know a lot about the Boston Bruins until I got to Fenway.
Don't forget George Gray.
Oh yeah, George Gray. Hold on right here, because this might lead right into this last one here. If you're thinking about a new car, a new vehicle, go where Bob and I go. Go see our friend George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. We have been customers for years because we know that George Gray will treat you right. They're a family-owned and operated dealership that we trust, and you can trust as well. So go see the great George Gray at Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. And George Gray is a big sports fan. Tell him you listened to Fred Lynn today. And tell him that Fred Lynn told Mike Lynch that he was recruited to play football at Harvard. Is that true?
That's very true. Yeah.
My God.
So we could have been teammates in football and baseball?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's how this was working for me in high school. I was a 3-sport guy. And so I was being recruited for all sports, to be honest. In baseball, I was obviously pretty good at baseball, but that's not going to pay the freight to go to a major university. All the small schools, you might get a full scholarship, but you're not going to get a full ride to USC or Notre Dame or any of these schools playing baseball. But football, you could. And I was pretty good at football too. I was a wide out and a DB, and in high school I played strong safety. At SC I probably would have played free safety, but anyway, so Harvard, they recruited me. I had pretty good grades back then. And I remember the guy coming to my high school, and, we'd love to see you at Harvard, playing football. Didn't really say much about baseball. But so maybe I'd just be playing football there. I'd have to go out and try out for baseball. I'm not sure. But I tell people all the time, I got into Harvard and Stanford, so I've got a little gray matter up there. It looks like it sometimes when I'm running into concrete walls, but I could have been the Crimson, Yeah,
then you would have played against SC in the College World Series.
We would have beaten them. No.
That's right.
They would have pitched around me.
didn't know that.
Well,
Lynch.
you've been wildly active on social media. I mean, you're always on. I followed your rehab from your partial knee replacements. Is that something you enjoy? Have you found a connection with Red Sox fans through that?
Yeah, it's a way for me to kind of give back. One of the reasons I like doing the Legends box is because I get to meet people and then talk to them about the games and stuff, and they tell me stories. And when you're playing, you have blinders on, so it's really a little bit more difficult to get out with the fans. But through social media, I try. I'm a positive guy anyway, and I try to be really positive with the things that I say, and try to connect with people on different levels, not only baseball but other levels as well. And it's funny that you mentioned the knee thing, and now it's Freddie, 2 new knees. That kind of took off, and I'm getting so many thoughts from people that were thinking about having knee surgery and a little bit tentative about doing it, and then they're watching my progress, through PT and everything that we try to chronicle from day one almost. So let people know not only what's going on, but it's okay. You can do this as long as you do the PT and get yourself in shape to do it. And I did both knees. It's doable. And now I'm happy to say that I'm playing golf. Me and my partner just won the senior club championship.
I saw that on social media.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Great.
I'm back. This is a weird feeling, I got to tell you. It's been so long since I've been able to swing a golf club without pulling off of something, either your back or your knees, or I'm just basically inventing a swing every time I play so I could play. Now I'm not doing that. I can actually rip it if I want to. And now I have to teach my brain to say, hey, it's okay to do that. It's a really weird feeling to not to have pain. And so I catch myself spinning out one time. I say, you don't need to do that. You can just hang in there. Just do what you do. And over the weekend, man, I played great. So it was like, wow, I haven't done this in 20 years.
I've never asked this question to anybody before, and I don't know why I'm asking it to you now. It just popped into my head. So what are you going to do with the rest of your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just kind of take things as they come. I don't look forward too far. I'm kind of I let life come to me a little bit. I don't go this way much. And I'm always excited about still doing the things that I'm doing with the Sox and going back east to do those things. So my wife worked at WNEV, TV back in the day. And so she has a lot of friends in TV back there. So we love doing that, going to Boston. My son's about an hour and 10 minutes away from here. And he has a son's going to turn 14. So you go up and see him, see what he's doing. He's a football, baseball kid too. So, there's family things, and I have a lot of friends here. My wife and I want to get back on the tennis court again. That's my goal. So that's a goal for me.
Pickleball.
No, pickleball. That's a recipe for injury.
That's what I hear.
My knee surgeon told me, he said, this pickleball is a boon to my practice because it happens so quickly. It's not like tennis where you have time to react. Pickleball, the ball's on you, and so you instinctively, try to move quickly, and you're not ready for it. Doink, there goes an ankle, there goes a knee. So pickleball, I think, is probably for younger people more than you think. But I'm a tennis player. So I can't wait I won't play singles anymore, but I'd like to play doubles again. I enjoy that. I enjoy the strategy of tennis. I enjoy that it's a workout. I still like working out. I still do that. I'm not a runner anymore, but I still like lifting a little bit and staying in shape. I enjoy doing those things. And so that's it in a nutshell. That's kind of where I'm going with my life right now.
Well, I appreciate I don't know why I asked the question. It just seemed like you're the most interesting.
Good question, actually. Yeah.
You're going to ride cross country with Ted. Let me ask you about remember the moniker you guys got stuck with? 25 guys, 25 cabs.
I've heard that, and I think I don't know where that came from. Probably somebody from the Orioles. You know what? Number one, you don't have to be friends with your teammates. It helps if you are. As long as you are a team when you're between the lines, that's what really matters. You're not going to take care of. You're not going to go out to dinner with every guy on the team. It's just not going to happen. But that's not right. I can remember lots of times when back in the day, after a road game, you go out and maybe have a beer or two. I don't know if today's players get that opportunity, but they have 4 or 5 guys, go out and have a couple beers, talk about the game, or talk about what we could do better, those kinds of things. Because baseball was always a topic of conversation. There's no question about it. And most of the time, I'd hang with outfielders. Didn't hang with pitchers too much. They're a little different breed of cat. It would be nothing for a bunch of us to go out and socialize at the local watering hole.
Gage Buchanan, see where else would we go?
not at home, but on the road. Yeah.
Did a great job, Fred. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thanks, guys. Yeah, I always enjoy doing these kinds of things, especially with guys from Boston. You asked interesting questions. The one about driving cross country, that's a first. So got a few first timers made me think about it. So that's always good. So thanks a lot.
Thank you a lot. Very much.
Fred. Thanks so much. See you next week.
All right, have a good rest of the day. Hey, maybe make the playoffs.
Yes. Maybe not, too. See you during the Dodger series.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, Fred. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good job.